Hello, John Talley here with Partzilla.com. Today we're going to be looking at the clutch on our 2009 Yamaha YFZ450R. It's starting to get a little bit tougher to pull, so we need to pull it apart and see what's going on in there. Let me grab a couple of tools, we'll get that cover off and start diving into it. So let's go. Alright guys, this is going to be a skill level 2, but it is certainly nothing to be afraid of. Just want to make sure you keep the work area clean because we are going to be opening up the engine. Now, as far as the tools you're going to need, flat blade screwdriver, pick tool, an 8, a 10, a 12, and a 30 millimeter socket, a decent 3/8 ratchet, and then as always, a torque wrench. The one special tool that you're going to need to pick up. You're going to need to pick up a clutch boss holder because you're actually going to have to hold it still to where we can get that nut released. Now, as far as the parts, if you would, reference our exploded parts diagrams. That way it's going to give you an overall picture of how the clutch is put together inside of the machine. Most importantly, you need to notice that there are two different types of fiber disc in that clutch pack. So, once you've got your parts and your tools together, I can go over there and show you how to get it done. So let's go. Alright guys, we've got it heated up and there's actually two drain bolts that we need to pull. They're both 12 millimeter heads. There's one up front and then there's one over here to the side. So we'll start with the one up front. Before we take it off, let's go ahead and at least loosen up our dipstick where it'll flow out easier. Not looking too bad, but it was definitely time to get it changed. And as always, make sure you don't lose this little crush washer. All right, now let's go ahead and pull the back one out. Yeah, not looking too bad. Something you do want to look for as it's draining, make sure there isn't any silver or gold sheen in there. That would be an indication of something severely going wrong with the engine. But I know this one's in pretty good shape. I know the owner pretty well. All right, she's pretty much finished up. Now we can go ahead and get our drain bolts back in. Let's get the front one in. All right, we need to set our torque wrench to 14 foot-pounds. All right, in the Yamaha manual, they actually wanted you to take off the skid plate, I would presume, so you wouldn't make a big mess in there by the oil draining on top of it, which is what has happened to me now. But I'm just going to get some contact cleaner and spray that off. All right, before we pull the clutch cover, what I want to do is go ahead and prepare the clutch plates. And by doing that, we're just going to put them in a clean drain bowl and soak them in some oil. Now when you ordered these, I hope you paid attention that there are actually two different part numbers. You've got one part number that goes in the front and on the very back, and then the rest of them are a separate part number, so make sure you order those correctly. But we're going to put them all in here and soak them in some oil. Now the way you tell them apart is the odd man out is a little bit darker color than the ones in the middle. I'm going to use the same oil that I'm actually going to refill the engine with. I prefer the semi-synthetic instead of the standard. All right, got all those covered up. Now I'm just going to move it over to the teardown bench to get it out of the way. Then we're going to pull that clutch cover, see what it looks like under there. And you've heard me say this before. Now I don't mind using impact guns to take things apart, but I never ever use them to put things back together. Too easy to strip it out. You'll notice I started here and I'm going counterclockwise and I'm laying them out in order because there's several different lengths here. All right, let's see what we got in here. All right. Now let's start pulling our caps for those springs. From kind of a crisscross pattern a little bit at a time so it releases tension evenly. Pretty good so far. Start pulling our plates out. This clutch actually looks to be in really good shape. Because what I'm looking for here is to see if the clutch, material has been worn away. And other than that, if you are getting a clutch that's slipping a lot, it'll actually turn these metal discs blue, and you can see it where it's been overheated. Main reason I pulled it apart is just because it was acting so grabby. When you would engage it, it would almost kind of judder off the line. It wasn't slipping, but it just wasn't engaging very smooth. So what I'm betting we're going to see is on the clutch basket, I bet you it's going to have like a stepped edge where the plates are riding back and forth. Now let's take a closer look at the basket. Yep, I can feel it all the way around. That is what's been happening, like a bunch of little stair steps. So what we're going to do is go ahead and pull that basket and replace it. Before we can remove this clutch nut, there's a retaining tab that needs to be bent back. All right, that piece I'm talking about, I'm actually going to be replacing. One of these two tabs was bent over on top of the nut, and I just had to knock it back flat. All right, with that special tool holding the clutch boss, we can remove this nut. There, I got her. And you can see the wear on the clutch boss as well. A little stair stepper thing going on. So we're going to replace this as well. Now we can remove the basket. Yep, you can see it better now. So let me go and grab some new parts. Gotta love the smell of new parts. Now look at that, nice and smooth. Beautiful. All right, before we put it in there, I want to go ahead and put some oil on this inner bearing, if you will, because that's actually the surface that it spins on. Before I put the clutch basket in there, let's go ahead and get this old gasket off and clean off any residual. What I'm using is just some contact cleaner. Any type of gasket material that's still on there, it breaks it down. Just want to be careful not to push it into the engine. All right guys, this takes a little while, so give me a few minutes and I'll be going all the way around this surface to get all this material off. All right, so we've got our surfaces cleaned up. Now we're going to get this set back in place, and here's the real trick. Sometimes when you push it back, it'll get caught and not go into a tooth, and it'll ride on top, and you don't want that. So when you're putting it together, you know that you've got it all the way down if it's sitting all the way flush, because see where it's sitting right now? We're still out. So bring it back out, move that gear just a little bit, try it again. All right, we're still not there. I mean, you may have to do this several times before she finally lines up and seats all the way down. There. All right, that finally went back. See the surface here? It's almost even with the clutch basket. That tells me that she's all the way back. If that isn't even, you're hitting on that gear and it won't go back together correctly. Now, we can go ahead and get the spacer on, and then our clutch boss. Our new locking washer, and then the clutch boss nut. It's a 30 millimeter, and we're going to be torquing it to 54 foot-pounds. Just using this pry bar up under that frame mount so I can hold it still. Well, that's feeling good. Now, what we want to do is bend that tab out and then flat with the nut to secure it in place without damaging the new pieces we just put in. All right, what I'm doing is using a deep well socket, pushing it all the way in to where we're pushing against the inside edge instead of the outside. I'm afraid if I start prying against this, I run the risk of shearing it off. So we're going to put that in place, then reach in here and bend the tab down. All right, with that out of the way, let's go grab our clutch plates and start putting them back together. Now, I've had them soaking in oil for about 20-30 minutes, somewhere in there. Remember in the beginning I told you there was two different types of disc. You've got one type that goes all the way on the inside, and then this same one on all the way outside. We're just alternating back and forth in between fiber and metal. we've got this little push pin that actually pushes out on the pressure plate, and that's what actually allows the plates to slip at that point, and then you can change a gear. So now we can put the pressure plate in. And my train of thought is, if you've replaced a new clutch, basket, everything else in there, might as well go ahead and shoot the moon and replace the springs as well. And I can tell you just by looking at these that they're still in good shape, comparing the old one to a new one. They should measure 47.8 millimeters, and if they're anything less than 45.4, you really have to replace them. But I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. All right guys, we're about to tighten these down, and we're going to do it the same way we took it off, just doing it in a crisscross pattern. So it'll take a little while, but eventually they're going to bottom out, and when they do, then we're going to torque them to 7.2 foot-pounds. All right, before we put this new gasket on, let's go ahead and see if we can get some of that oil cleaned off that managed to spill on there when we were putting in the clutch plates. Actually, there's two dowels, but it looks like they stayed in the cover. So the way we're going to do this, let's go ahead and lay it on the cover and then put it up there. Otherwise, I don't think we'd ever get it to line up. All right, and we started here with our bolts. Let's get those back in. And these bolts are, surprise, surprise, 7.2 foot-pounds again. Let's go see how it feels on that clutch lever now. Oh yeah, that's what we're after. That is really smooth. So mission accomplished on that. The only thing left now is just to fill it back up with oil. Since we didn't change the oil filter, it should take around 1.5 quarts, somewhere in that neighborhood. So if you need any parts for your machine, why don't you come see us at Partzilla.com and we can get you taken care of. Have any questions or comments? Leave them in the section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Till next time, we just want to say thank you for shopping with us here at Partzilla, and we will see you in the next video. Have a great day.